Good morning, my name is Broscar and I represent the US combat engineers from the Second World War. So my display here is predominantly focused on mines and explosives and the sort of tools that the engineers used on D-Day. So we'll start with some of the mines. We have anti-tank mines and anti-personnel mines. Now, a lot of the anti-personnel mines that the Germans used later in the war, because of a lack of available metal, they experimented with other materials. One of the worst ones that they used was the glass mine. Now, the glass mine essentially was a thick glass bowl with an explosive charge in the bottom. You have a thin glass pressure plate and a thicker glass plate which sits on top. You bury it under the ground. As the soldier walks, the weight of their foot down on the thick plate cracks through the thin plate. There's a crush fuse underneath. When that crushes together, it mixes two chemicals and detonates the explosive, sending chunks of glass in every direction.
Now, I've seen this one before. It's wood, isn't it?
Yep, so this is another low metal mine. This is a German shoe mine. It's called a shoe mine because it looks like a shoebox.
It's hard to detect as well, isn't it?
Yep. The idea is that the only piece of metal is this firing pin here. And it wasn't enough metal for the mine detectors that the Allies used to pick it up. So the only way that they would find it either is by poking around in the ground, or they also used sniffer dogs to sniff out the explosives.
Now, what's this wooden pole?
This is the mounting point for a German stock mine, also known as a concrete mine. Essentially what it is a lump of concrete with small metal flakes embedded in it. It's very cheap, easy and quick to make. You pack it with explosives, mount it on the stake, and then you hide it in the rubble of a destroyed building. And then you've got a little tripwire fuse here. So you'd run a tripwire across to either a wall or another mine. When you step through the wire, it sets off the mine and sends chunks of concrete flying everywhere.
Horrendous. And here we've got a very infamous mine, haven't we?
Yeah, so this is an American M2A3 anti-personnel mine based on the German S mine. So this was the most famous anti-personnel mine and was widely copied after the war.
Because it leaks in the air, doesn't it?
Yep, so you've got a pressure fuse in the top. When that gets detonated, it ignites a small charge in the bottom of the canister, sends the canister up to about waist height. Then the main explosive charge will detonate and send the contents 360 degrees. The early ones used ball bearings, but as the war went on, they just used offcuts of metal. Little bits of cut up steel cable and wire and things like that.
Now over here we have a torpedo, but not the torpedo that most people are used to hearing.
No, so this is a Bangalore Torpedo. Originally designed in 1912 by a British Army officer in India, it was used for clearing obstacles. And it was used predominantly during the Second World War for clearing things like barbed wire. So the engineers would carry two of these off the boat. It's 9 pounds of explosive, 13 pounds in total, and all it is a steel tube filled with an explosive material called amatol, which is a mixture of TNT and ammonium nitrate. And the way that it works is that you'd go up to the barbed wire, you'd slide one of these poles underneath, you then have a connector, you then slide another one until you're through the other side of the barbed wire.
So this one will add on to this one.
Yep.
Double the length.
If you were strong enough, you could push a line of 10 of these.
Oh, wow.
You screw a fuse into the bottom, you pull it, you've got about 5 to 7 seconds, and then the whole tube explodes outwards. So one of these was designed to clear about 50 feet of barbed wire.
Okay. Now over here is a pole mine. Now, I've not seen this before.
So this was designed before D-Day as a way of taking out German bunkers. The way that it works is you have 10 pounds of explosives basically strapped onto the end of a pole. They were made at the last minute, literally out of material that they could buy at hardware stores or what they could find lying around the camp. So the combat engineer would carry one of these off the boat. They would run up to the side of the bunker and put this flat against the wall. You then have two fuses down at the bottom. You pull one of the fuses, it burns through, again about 5 to 7 seconds. It shoots up the detonation cord and detonates the explosive. Now, it's not designed to blow a hole in the bunker, but what it does is the force of the explosion sends a shock wave through the concrete and fragments the concrete on the inside of the bunker, essentially rendering the people inside senseless long enough for somebody to run up to the slit and pop a grenade through.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.